Hi guys, today we'll talk about how to use Photoshop to render perspectives. They're similar to rendering plans, but because they're not 2D like the plan, the images must match the lines in the perspective, so we need to distort them a bit. So first I'll go to File, Open, and I'll double click on the image that I want to render. I do not claim any rights to this image as I did not create it, so if you know the person who did, let me know so I can put in a shout out for them. The first thing we want to do is we want to place a rug in this area. So I already saved a rug that I wanted to add. So I'll just go to the folder that the rug is saved in. I'll double click on it and I'll open it in a separate layer. I can go to Control A, Control C, and then go back to the folder and Control V. These are the shortcuts. Control A is the shortcut for selecting all, Control C is the shortcut for copying, and Control V is the shortcut for pasting. Obviously, replace Control with Command if you are using Mac. We'll go to Edit, Transform, and we'll rotate the image because we don't want it to be vertical, we want it to be horizontal. We'll go to the Zoom Out button and we'll zoom out. We'll move the perspective where we want it to be. We'll move the rug, where we want it to be, and we'll lower the opacity. Okay. Then we're lowering the opacity, by the way, so we can see the lines underneath, so it's easier for us to navigate through. We'll go to Edit, Transform, Skew, and we'll use the little squares in the corners to click and drag the rug so that it fits the perspective lines. So it doesn't look flat, it looks 3D. So we'll use these to guide us. We'll move them around. Some of them will be out of the image, but I have to imagine where they would be in terms of placement. So I'll play around with it. Whenever I'm satisfied, I can just press OK and I can bring back the opacity of the image. If I want all the lines to show, then I can tidy it up. I can go to the background layer, use the magic wand, click inside, select inverse, which is the exact opposite of what I just selected, go back to the rug layer and press delete. If I press Ctrl D, which is the shortcut to deselecting something, I can see that the outline now shows around my rug. Okay. Next thing, we're going to add parquet to the flooring of this room. So we'll press File, Open. Obviously, I've already chosen these. And I also want to rotate these because I want the parquet to be vertical. I don't want it to be horizontal. So I'll go to Image, Image Rotation, and I'll rotate the image. And then I'll go to Control A, Control C, just like I did with the rug. Control V, and I'll paste it over here. Again, I'll lower the opacity and I'll skew it and I'll use the lines in the perspective. So Edit, Transform, Skew, and I'll use these lines to guide me to where I want my image to distort, in what direction. Okay, put this here, put this there. We'll move them around until we feel like it looks about right. Okay, let's say we want it to look this way, and then we can press OK. Now we need to tidy it up, so we'll go back to the background layer, press on the magic wand, press where we want our parquet to be in. Make sure you select all the areas you want your parquet to be in. Select inverse, which is the exact opposite of what we just selected. We go back to the parquet layer and we can delete, and it's gonna tidy it up, and we can bring back the opacity. Control D to remove the selection. We can also name our layers so that we don't get confused. Okay, We can also paste it again and then go to the other direction, lower the opacity, edit, transform, skew, and then skew this in the direction we want our parquet to be in. Okay, say we're satisfied with it. We go back to the background layer, select inverse, go to the parquet layer, delete, Control D, and then we bring back the opacity. We can rename this as well. You can call it parquet 2. Okay, then we can go ahead and color the walls, for example. We can go to the magic wand, select all the areas we want the color to be in. Make sure none of them are not selected. We'll go to the icon over here, solid color, and we'll choose the color that we want the wall to be colored in. Okay, we can add shades and shadows later to create more of a 3D effect over here. Then we'll go to the table. So for example, I want to render this table. I have to go to File, Open, choose the wood or whatever it is that I want to render in. So let's say we want to use this one. Control A, Control C. I'll bring it back here as Control V. Okay, Control T. And I'll make it smaller so that it fits on top of my table. Apply. Zoom in. Okay. For the top part, I'm going to use the same image, but I'm going to use it horizontally. And then I'm going to flip it vertical for the legs, so that creates a more realistic effect. So I'll go to Edit, Transform, Skew. Even if it's not 100% neat, we can then clean it up. So don't worry about that. Try to make it as neat as possible though. Okay. So this looks okay. We'll press OK. We'll go back to the background layer, magic wand, select the areas we want the wood to be in, select inverse, go back to the layer and press delete. And then I can bring back the opacity. I can call this side table top. Okay, then what I want to do is I want to create one layer for this part and one layer for the other part. So I'll just paste it. Okay. And this time what I want to do is edit, transform, and I want to rotate it. So that's it in the other direction. Let's put it topmost layer and lower the opacity. Edit, transform, skew again, and we'll skew it based on okay, let's say we're satisfied, we can press OK. Then we can go to the magic wand, go back to the background layer, press on these, select inverse, go to the layer and delete. Bring it back. Then we'll paste again. Control T. Make it smaller. So what I'm doing here, I'm just repeating the steps, but I'm not repeating them exactly the same. I'm trying to rotate it using the lines I want to put the material in as a guideline. So I'll lower the opacity again, edit, transform, skew, and I'll skew them based on the lines that I have. Then move it a bit here. Use the magic wand to go back to the background. Select all the areas you want the wood to be in. Select inverse and delete. Okay. Why do we do this in so many different parts? I'll just show you as an example on this table why we do it in parts. So if we just paste this image and we don't distort it or don't do anything whatsoever, just lower the opacity. I'm going to delete this. I just want to put it in to show you guys. If I go to the magic wand and select all the parts in this table, okay, select inverse and delete, I'll bring back the opacity. Notice the wood does not match. It's unrealistic that they're all going to be in the same direction and in the same piece. So when we distort it and put different pieces for each part, it looks a lot more realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this layer. I'm going to do the same thing for this table, so I'm not going to explain it again. Same thing for the sofa. You'll bring in a piece of fabric or whatever it is, canvas print, and you'll put it in here using the same idea. And then you're going to bring in images that you like or color these images if you like them. And you're going to distort them to match this. We can also use the outer glow for this. So let's say we want to color this in solid color. We'll try to use, for example, purple color. Then we can go to layer, layer style, outer glow. And then we can create a glow for this so that it looks like the lamp is on. Press OK. We zoom out, you'll notice that it looks a bit illuminated. It has a certain glow to it. Okay, so I created this image based on the same steps used in the explanation, which are copying and pasting and skewing images, lowering the opacity and cropping them out by selecting inverse. So now let's assume I'm done rendering this and I want to create shades and shadows. I can do that using the gradient tool. So if I select one of the walls, create a new layer, make sure it's on top of the rest of the layers. Okay, use the gradient tool, click and drag, obviously using black to white, and then I can lower the opacity so that I can have some shades and shadows. Again, magic wand, create a new layer, gradient map, click and drag, and then I can lower the opacity. You can do the same things on the furniture as well. So for example, the top part, might want to make it a bit darker. Gradient map, and then lower the opacity, or I can do the opposite. So I might have the light hitting from top, so I don't want this to be darker, I want the bottom part to be darker. As long as there are some variations in shades and shadows, then if you continue doing it overall, the rest of the perspective, you'll have a lot more depth in it. Another great example is using filters, rendering filters on your images. So you can go to File, Save As, and saving your files as Photoshop files means you can reopen them with the same layers that you have over here. If you save them as a JPEG, you've saved them as an image and you can't re-edit them using the layers, but you can edit them obviously as a picture that you got from anywhere else, just like any picture you got from anywhere else. So I'll just press OK, save, OK, and I'll reopen it as a JPEG that I just saved. So it's here, perspective tutorial. I'll open it up. I can go to filter, render, and then I have a few different filters that I can use. Lens flare is one of my favorites, especially if you have a glass window and you want to add some reflection. You can actually put it on the light effect. You can lower the brightness or have it higher. Let's say I want to put it on the lamp, and then I can press OK, and I get a sort of lens flare effect in the image itself. I can also go to layer, I can also go to filter, render, lighting effects. And I can use, for example, the spotlight. I can adjust it, have it wherever I want it to be. Let's say the light source is coming from here. I can move it around. Can even enlarge it so that it's coming from over here. I can make the intensity higher and the ambience higher as well, so there's not as much of a contrast. When I'm satisfied with the result, I can press OK, and I get a sort of lighting effect on the space. This is how you render perspectives. I hope you found it useful.